Say hi to James. Made me an entrepreneur. Teaching me day after day after day till it all was a blur. Now he on tour, he could drop in your city tonight. Neverland Zing coming in for the fight. Making that powerful statement, saying that you meant for greatness. Better be ready for absolute.
Good morning, Absolute Nation. Man, I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to talk to you. This morning, man, some amazing things taking place. I'm here on location, if you will. I'm in Detroit, Michigan, speaking for a wonderful organization called Warriors Rising. I'm going to be speaking to veterans who have gotten to be a part of a program that allow them becoming entrepreneurs. I'm going to speak life into them, share and impact lives. You're going to see clips of that later. I get all dressed up, ready to go, but I'm dressing the heart more than anything. Because when speaking, it's not about your attire, it's the inspire. It's what do you say to people when you're given the mic? It's not about you, it's about them. It's about how you get them prepared for a win. I just had an event. We did peak performance in Indianapolis. And for all of you that were part of that, all of you that were supportive of that, thank you so much. Probably one of the most successful things that we ever have done is planned preparation so that we can inspire people during the moments of life where perspiration takes place. When they start sweating, how am I going to make it? When they start sweating, how am I going to take the trials, tribulations that come with life? And so we try to prepare them with information that will last beyond the day. So yesterday we got together in Indianapolis, Indiana. I want to thank you for the sponsor of that event. It ended up being Invest, where you got to see Scott Jarrett, the CEO of the company, share his message. And then we got to see other people, people that you will grow to know, see them speak. I think one of the greatest challenges we have is that we don't open ourselves up for growth. I was watching as particular speakers would get ready and get prepared. They were like, "Hey, I want to speak this amount of time. I want to do such and such, and if I don't do that," and we call that professionalism. But even when you're giving that, things can happen. For example, you may be expecting that you're going to have a whiteboard, or you might think that you're going to have visual aids that will be there. And if they go out, how do you respond? If you start responding like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. How could they not have the whiteboard ready? This marker is red. I wanted a black one." All of these things matter very little in the scale of what you're there for. We have to be able to move forward and impact lives without being impacted by the fact that something small happens. What does it take to stop you from your goals? Is there anything small that could happen that could stop you from going after your destiny? And if it is, it's too major and your role is too minor. I know that every time that I step onto a stage, every time that I step onto a plane, when I'm sitting beside people, that's a stage. You get a chance to be able to talk to someone and inspire them or talk to them, and you have no idea what that person knows, does, or who they know that could open up the doors for you. In fact, let me tell you a story that took place just the other day. As I was traveling there in Indianapolis, I needed to grab an Uber. So I had an Uber driver drive me to an appointment where I could meet with some people. In fact, it was with Invest. So I was going to their corporate headquarters where I coached their CEO so we could talk about the last minute preparation of his speech, which he delivered a wonderful and his very best keynote that day, the very next day. But when I came over to the building, here's what I noticed that the gentleman that I was riding with was seemed to be extremely tall. And I'm 6'4", and he was taller than me, and I could tell by the just his stature when we were in the car. So we started a conversation, and as we began to talk during our ride, the conversation turned into him mentioning his son, and he goes, "Listen, my son is an NBA player who just signed this max contract for multiple millions. And as he mentioned that, I was like, that's great, man. I'm so proud of you. We could have left it there. But because the client that I work with, the person I work with, is in financials, I said, well, listen, they work with people of high net worth. It'd be great to have a conversation. He says, is it possible to get a business card? Now, I go inside and grab the business card from one of the people there, but then I realize it's not the business card that you need, it's the relationship. If we leave it on paper, it'll never turn and translate into something. So I go back inside. I go outside to him. I said, can you hold 1 second? I run inside and I said, who's available? I don't see anyone right away. But I saw one of the vice presidents in his office. I said, come on out. You need to meet a guy. Now imagine he thought when he saw the Uber driver that I was about to say to him, hey, this Uber driver needs a tip. Can you pay him? Or if I'm being a diva, I need special attention. Or I didn't have a credit card to pay for it. Maybe he thought those things, but none of that was happening. But he immediately jumped off the phone, left his office, came to where I was. And he says, what do you need, James? And I said, I need you to meet someone. So I go outside, I grab the gentleman, I bring him in, and I was like, hey, I want you to meet my Uber driver. Now, most people would say, why would I want to meet an Uber driver? But he wasn't. He was a father of someone of very high net worth, and he's the decision maker and influencer. You see, you have no idea who you're meeting and what that can translate into for you. He starts having a conversation, they move forward, and now they have an opportunity. Now, the reason why they have the opportunity is because they were open. Some people will never be open because it doesn't come the way you expect. I can remember when Greg Reed said sometimes people will pray for $100. God, give me $100. God, give me $100. Please, whatever you do, I need 100. I need it. And as we talk about it, as we are begging, here's something that happens. God shows up in the form of hard work to get it. Your neighbor might say, listen, I need my grass cut and my knee is swollen. I'm not able to go do it myself. Is it possible for me to pay you to do that? And I'm willing to give you $100. You see, the very thing you prayed for can show up in the form of that hard work. You might have to cut that grass in order to be able to move forward and get it, but that's the way that it will show up. You have to understand that the opportunities that you are looking for will not come in an easy format. In fact, you wouldn't appreciate it if you just simply walked outside. I needed 100, 100 on the ground. You would start doing that all the time. God send 100, look for 100. But what happens when it's 10,000? What happens when it's a major moment in your life? You see, sometimes things will show up in the form of hard work. And when they're there, that doesn't mean that you should despise them or think that it's too hard. Because if it shows up at your doorstep, it's made for you. And if you can't do it, no one can. There is absolutely no reason why you should ever despise hard work. Because on the other side of hard work is the opportunity to grow, to earn it, to be more, to understand that this thing in life, these dreams, these aspirations that you have, they do not come easy. But when they come, you got to be ready. You see, what if you were invited somewhere to do something, to speak, for example, and you've always had the ambition to speak, to get on stage, and you're just in the audience. You got a free ticket. I'm there. And they end up saying that one of our keynote speakers was involved in a traffic accident. They're not injured, but they're going to go as a precaution to the hospital. Unfortunately, they won't be able to be here today. And so we're going to skip. Wait a minute. They look out in the audience. They see you. You know what? Hey, do you mind going up and speaking and filling in for this person? Would you be ready? Or would you have to say, listen, I understand that because this person is gone, Um, and I need more time, and you have a moment, and how much you're going to pay me? And they said, listen, this will be free, but you got 10,000 people you'll be able to speak in front of. Do you even have a book yet? Do you have a program? Do you have a way to recover capital that if you give the opportunity, you could do something with it? If you're not ready, when the moment comes, the moment will pass you. But if there's a test, you can surpass the test, you can win the test if you can prepare yourself in that moment, for that moment, before the moment arises. Man, you can rise. Let me go into something real deep here. Today, for example, I'll be speaking with veterans. When I speak to them, I'm not going to speak as if I am a veteran. I don't have to do certain things that other people do in order for me to be able to speak to them. I can honor who they are. I can honor what they've done. I can honor what they've become without me having to be one because I was never able to be one. Born with a disability, disqualified, but just because I'm disqualified from that level of service doesn't stop me from being able to serve others. There's always a way. Finding a new path is the way that you go to greatness. We talked about this one time before, but I want to make this clear. When you're an eagle, you have to fly. An eagle must fly. An eagle must be an eagle, must be royal, must be regal, must be their nature. You cannot hang out with crows, nor can you hang out with chickens. You'll never see an eagle with a chicken unless he's eating it. You'll see a crow attack eagles. Something about crows, they say they're brilliant, but when their brilliance shows up and attacking an eagle, it never works out. Because against other birds, their intelligence would work. They could attack it and defeat it. But with the eagle, they don't fight back against the crow. They simply take the crow and elevate the atmosphere. They take it to an atmosphere, they take it to a level that they're not able to do anything with them because they take them to a place that the lung capacity for the eagle is the only thing that will last. Eagles elevate, crows dissipate. They fall off because even in their attacks, they cannot stop the attack because it feels like they're winning. So listen, I'm talking to you now. It's not about you being just an eagle. It's about the fact that as you try to climb in life, you will find that crows will attack you. There are people who are insecure about themselves that will attack you because you're trying to be more and do more. They are insecure about the idea that somehow their dreams and aspirations are on hold because you're grabbing yours. Don't let go of what you're called to do because somebody else has envy. In fact, use that as fuel. If you hate what I'm doing now, wait till you see what I do tomorrow. I'm getting bigger, I'm getting better, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting more powerful. And when I'm done, when I finish this thing, oh, you better run because you weren't made to run with me. You see, you got to have that mindset that you are not in competition with them, you're in competition with what God set for you. Whatever the him is made me, I'm him. I'm that guy. I'm that one. This is my time, and I have to do what I'm called to do in this moment, or I waste it. Man, it is the reason why I've been able to be in some places because I don't waste the moment. I see that we're supposed to be great. I believe that I'm supposed to do great things because whom much is given, much is required. It's required out of you. Be great, do great, become great. Absolute motivation is not about having sound bites. It's about biting into the thing that's meant for you, biting into it and holding on for dear life that if God gave it to me, then I can do it. If I'm supposed to have it, it's not going to leave me. And if it does leave me, it's to make room for something to be better than that in front of me. In the process of becoming more, you have to be prepared for things that that would devastate others, but it's not going to devastate you. Here's what it is. Others will be devastated by the idea or the concept that people hate them, that people want to be you, that people are envious, that people get jealous. And it bothers them because we think that everyone's supposed to like you. Nah, you don't need everyone to like you. As long as you love you, as long as you are loved by those who you are called to lead, your family, your true friends. You see, there are people who are always going to be around who want to be your crow. And if you let them get into your craw, you'll be bothered. No, man. Crawl before you walk, then walk until you can run. And then when you can no longer run, fly. And when you start to fly, land as you will. That's the elevation for greatness. If I get caught up in the fact that this speaker, this person, this institute, this is done this way, there are times that you will find that people are dishonest, disrespectful. That comes with the territory. But in that territory also comes boundaries because no territory can be called a territory without limitations. You have to place limits on what you allow, the disrespect, who gets into your circle. Who are you going to allow to attach to the name you're building? You see, I'm so excited about the things that we're building because it is here right now that I'm about to tell you about things that are coming. November 15th, we're going to be doing another peak performance, but this time, absolute motivation. We're going to be bringing in iconic names you've been waiting for. We're going to do it. We're going to bring them on. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to wait to do the announcement of who's in that lineup, but it's coming. We're coming back to Salt Lake City, Utah. And this time, this is all time great. This is stuff that you dream about. What if you could take every one of those idols, people you looked up to, people you've been listening to, put them in a room and have access to them, and they have access to you to speak life for life? This will be focused on mental health, physical health, spiritual, because man is trichotomous. You are body, mind, and spirit. We got to feed all three of you, all three that are in you. Because if you neglect one, if you just go out and get money, I can tell you that money will run out of its joy. It's exciting. You get to go buy new stuff, but when you buy it, you cannot purchase one thing, and that's lasting joy. You buy a brand new car, you get in the car, look at my new car. Months later, you're eating McDonald's in the car, and it doesn't have the value. It depreciates the moment you leave. And so will your appreciation. But gratitude is an attitude. And gratitude kicks in when you realize that, man, I am in rare air or by design. Whatever it is that I'm doing, whatever it is that I have, God gave me, and I'm making the most of this because this is the most I've ever been. The best I've ever been is today. I'm in the best shape mentally, emotionally. Even if you're not physically, you can get up and go after that. But if you can take your experience, it can't be beaten. You could sit around and wish, what if I had gotten this sooner? If I were younger? You didn't need to be younger. You didn't need it sooner. You needed it now. Because if it had arrived any time sooner, you wouldn't have been ready. But now you are. Can you ever imagine this idea? Imagine if things are challenging now. What's on the other side of that challenge? What kind of reward is awaiting you? You should get excited by the fact that if I'm being tested like this, oh, I'm being bested. I'm being a better version of me, the best of me. I'm being improved. I'm being upgraded. I'm moving from one level to the next level, and I don't care which devil tries to get in. I'm about to win, and when I win, oh, it's on. Because your wins are not about you; it's about those who come connected to you. I'm looking at impact. I'm thinking about so that impact. It is what kind of impression can I leave on the earth? What kind of impression can I leave inside the lives of others? And I'm thinking about the duration of that impact. I don't want it to be like a footprint in the sand that water comes, moves it away, sand moves into it, fills it up, and you can't tell I was there. I'm talking about an impression. The same way that we imprint young horses. The moment they're born, we put a saddle on them so they get used to the feeling that something's coming, that life is meant to be used, and I'm supposed to work, I'm supposed to develop, I'm supposed to carry some weight. If you thought the reason why you were born is so that others can do stuff for you, no, man, you're not here to be served. You're here to serve. And if you serve, somebody will end up coming following, but they follow you because you're taking them somewhere. There are no slaves. You have to think about goals, aspirations. Who do you want to be? What goals do you want to set about serving others? Who are you elevating? It's time to elevate yourself now from where you are to where you need to be. Do not write down these things saying, January, I'm going to start over. No, your calendar starts now. Whatever the moon is, whatever your sign you think it is, the sign you got is this word here: go. Get up, let's go. You want it? Go. Let's get it. Whatever it is that you want to become, go after it. What are you waiting on? You don't need to wait. You are ready. You are prepared. Even if you feel unprepared, I promise you, you move in the direction of your dreams and your dreams move in the direction of you. There is absolutely nothing that you need to worry about other than stepping into your calling. And if you can step in, you'll never have to step off. It's time to accelerate there. In fact, I want to take a moment and introduce you to someone who accelerated their goals and dreams and aspiration. You see, sometimes it takes being creative when it doesn't seem to make sense to other people. What can seem like an obsession when you want to worry about creating something, painting something, designing something. You get caught up in the shoes, and they're like, there's no money in shoes. Oh, let me show you that shoes are more than something you wear. They're a statement piece now. They're fashion items, but they're not just fashionable. They're the way that you want to be seen and perceived. Well, there's nobody better than making you come across the best version of you than Des. Ladies and gentlemen, absolute motivation. Let me introduce you to the extraordinary shoe designer, creative talent, the art that I'm going to simply say he's amazing. Des, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm grateful to you. My apologies for being a little bit late,
Don't
but
worry about being late. You were on time. You were born for this,
I
man.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. How are you?
Man, I'm just good, man. Listen, man, you just look like you're walking in peace. Is that right? You just look like I know who I am. I'm walking in who I am. I'm doing what I'm called to do.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up. I was having a conversation just this morning, and the art world is can be, if you let it, it can be overwhelming. I
Mm,
I have to remind myself consistently because we all have that where we look over our shoulders or we look to one side or the other and we see this person accomplishing and that person accomplishing. And I have to remind myself I do what I love and I get
mm,
paid to do it and I do it every day. And you know, I'm moving into a new aspect where now I'm bringing people along with me. Now I get
cool.
to feed others and teach them how to feed themselves with what I do. And you're absolutely right. Like I had to, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine this morning, and just remembering that sometimes we just have to recenter ourselves. We're already in a great place, but we're off center because we're looking this way, so our heads tilt and our bodies tilt this way, or we tilt this way, and all you got to do is you recenter and it goes into perspective and you realize you're where you need to be. You're where you
Mm,
should be. And I really am. I am in a wonderful place. I was like, I'm so busy. I tell you what, a bored artist is a broke artist. So I'm blessed to be
ooh,
busy. And
wait. That's a bomb. A bored artist is a broke artist. Come
yes,
on, man.
yeah.
I
So
love that.
yeah, so it's you're absolutely right. I am uh the smile is genuine. I'm in a good place. I'm busy and I'm excited and I try not to use the word overwhelmed anymore. I try to use the word overblessed.
Ooh,
That can never be a bad thing. So
come
absolutely.
on. Man, I gotta. Listen. I want to do justice. I see that are you in the workshop now? Is this where you do the
Yeah,
artwork?
yes.
Would you talk a little bit about your background? More so importantly, where your passion began. How did you even get into what you're doing? What was the birthplace of this journey?
I'll be honest with you. It from young, raised by my mom, single parent. My grandma was there too, and artwork was always an escape. I grew up in Arlington County. My mom worked 2 jobs so that we could live in Arlington County. A very nice county, but not a lot of people that looked at me at that time. And you know, it was a way to escape things that were happening in my life when I was young. And it was a way to be emotional. And my mom was my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. So artwork is every bit a part of me as breathing and being brown. It's just something that's in me, and I can no more stop drawing or painting or being creative than I can stop breathing. But my mom played a huge part in creating the artist that sits in front of you today.
Man, listen, when you drop bombs and keep going like they didn't go off, right? So when you said a bored artist is a broke artist, that was one. The second bomb you just mentioned there was like, I can't stop being creative as much as I can't stop breathing. It's a part of whom I am. It's your DNA.
Yes,
Man, when people can find their passion and then make that their profession, man, that's love. That's not working. That's an expression of it. That's
yeah,
where gratitude becomes that thing.
agreed.
Man, you have could you talk a little about like the first time or your discovery moment when the world started noticing your passion? When was the first time people noticed your gift?
So, like I said, my mom was always my number one believer. My mom, she put an airbrush in my hand at 12 years old. I was winning awards in elementary school and throughout middle school and high school. Um, that's when I learned I was talented. High school was really wonderful for me because I had a teacher, Mr. Spicer, and he was just a really genuine human being. And
Okay.
he would challenge me all the time. He would tell me, you're good, but you're never going to be anything because you're lazy. And
Ooh.
but the way he would say it, I know he didn't mean it.
Yeah.
I know he didn't mean it in a hurtful way.
He meant to spark that to make you work hard. Yeah.
Right, right. And I took it that way all the time, and I always wanted to prove him wrong. And but it was a long road. I came out of high school. I was in a relationship throughout high school that I didn't take care of, and so it ended right before high school ended. And so I made a lot of mistakes towards the end of the year, barely graduated. I lost opportunities. I lost scholarship offers. I missed an opportunity to go to the Corcoran School of Art. And then I was bitter. I went to work. I always painted for myself. I always kept sharp.
Right.
Tell people all the time, I always,
Well,
I kept,
I don't even want to miss that because you said some things. There are people listening that think when they miss an opportunity, when they blow it, when the relationships go bad, when any of those things that happen, then that means that's it. Man, I've blown it. There's nothing for me to do. But you didn't quit. Even with a missed opportunity, you didn't quit.
no. Again, it's, if you're passionate about something and a loss of an opportunity to do it can make you quit, you were never passionate about it. That's passion
Mm.
is just something that, I being an artist, I think my visuals are the most closely related thing to poetry when it comes to words. What we do as artists, we express ourselves like people wish they could be poets. They also wish they could be artists because it's an expression of something that can't be said. Sometimes you can't find the right word. I promise you, there's a poet that has found it.
Yeah.
But passion is the thing that poetry is written about. Passion is the thing that, it's caused wars. It's caused incredible feats of accomplishment for human beings. It's caused these wonderful gestures of humanity from people. Passion is something that if you can lose it, it was never there. It was an infatuation. It was you were addicted to something. You were using it to replace something else. But passion is not something that ever burns out. It might get smoldered. It might turn into just a few embers, but it should be able to be ignited quickly. And for me, art was that. So I always kept sharp. I always kept painting for myself. I tried to open 3 businesses during. This is how ignorant I was. I tried to open 3 businesses in 2007, 2008, 2009, the housing market crash.
Mm.
And those 3 businesses failed. We moved 3 times in 3 years. And at 36 years old, when I had resigned myself to telling myself that art was going to be something that I did just for myself because I loved it.
Wow.
And literally started going to a men's group at church. And I don't push church on everybody, but if you can find it, get it. And started kind of walking a little bit of a better path. And then these doors just started opening. And it was one of those things. And I made a post about it not too long back, where I'm the type of individual that I know where I'm at, but I know that if you give me the opportunity, if you present me with a chance to impress you artistically, I'm not leaving. You're going to have to shove me out of your life because I'm going to show you something that exceeds your expectations. I'm going to give you more than what you paid for, more than what you bargained for. And that's what sets me apart. So, I pity those that use the excuse of I never got a chance, because I've
Ooh.
seen so many people say I never got a chance, but I've seen them get chances. And
Yeah.
what they squandered those chances.
Yeah.
And I I think I have that wonderful place of suffering, of not being an artist for 36 years, knowing that I could, but not being able to succeed at it. And the pain of having to let it go a few times, in the sense of, all right, it's not going to be my income. It's not going to be my day to day, but I'm going to do it for myself. I'm fortunate to have that pain because that pain chases me on a daily basis. I never
Oh,
want
wow.
that life where I'm sitting somewhere knowing that I am this, but I'm shackled to being that because that's my profession and that's what feeds my family. That's not going to happen to me. And I'm chased by that. And I'm thankful for it though. I'm
Man,
thankful that I
you,
have
you,
that fear of going back.
you had, let me address that, man, because I think that's universal for greatness in everyone. The fact that you said that, let's go back to the men's group when you were like, when you're around other people who hold you accountable, you get better, you get brighter, and the burdens get lighter. Iron sharpens iron because we get to rub up and rub off on each other. And if you don't have that circle, if you don't have that, if you've never heard the idea that sometimes you can be isolated, but it doesn't mean you're alone. You can be isolated because you needed to separate from the old pack to get connected to people who will give you a new path. And when you get around people who have a joint goal of being better, it makes you better. We fly higher together like geese do. We go longer, stronger, all those things. That's what faith does. Man, it connects me, but it also corrects me. If all you have is people around you being yes men, you don't have any men around you. All you have is an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And echoes, man, are foolish. It's like being a kid in front of those trifold mirrors and mom's in the bathroom when we were kids. You put them together, you see all these different versions of yourself. But if all you see is you, then you don't have an opportunity to see real life.
Right.
You got to be able to press that back and look at and see yourself authentically and say, I need people in my life that will see me, help me be better, and so I can grow. There's something else that you had said, man. I love that you were talking about um, when chances come, you have to realize that you've always had a chance and you can give yourself that chance. You know, many times I had a chance to quit when it comes to speaking because I thought that my true survival, overcoming the loss of my leg, was for me. That it's too private, it's too personal. I've got some shame about it. But when I came off of mute, I found out that other people needed to hear it. When I came off of mute, I saw that the techniques I had developed in masking and walking in regular life became tools that I could teach other amputees around the world. That I had become someone because I'd gone through something. And now here you are, man. We're talking. I talked about that discovery moment. Now that you're back, you're out of there, and when passion just continues to be ignited, because it can't be ignored. And here it is that now 36. When did the world start to notice your skill?
Right about there. I met a young man um, who gave me. He was connected in the sneaker business, and I was not a sneaker guy. I'll be honest with you. I was not. I grew up very with a very humble. My mom worked very hard, but she didn't work hard to buy me shoes. She worked hard to give me food and everything else she could. She didn't want me working because she wanted me to focus on school, and so funds were limited. So I wasn't a shoe guy. I wasn't a Jordan guy. I wasn't. No, I wore very minimal things during my school days. So at 36, this kid, he's got sneaker connections. He tells me, listen, I need you to paint some shoes. I have some athletes that know me in the NFL, this, that, and third. And it literally, it grew from there. And then we started getting features on Nice Kicks. And then we went over to the first ever Ace of Customs competition in New York for SneakerCon. And we won that one. And that's kind of when the doors just kind of flung open. And I told my boss, I had a job. And I told my boss, I said, I need 2 weeks because I got to go to this convention. And we had to get ready for the convention. And then I said, I'm going to need a week after that because I know we're going to get a couple of orders at the convention. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to need to work it. And I never went back because life literally changed after that moment. And then shortly after that, we did some athletes and we caught a little spark on Twitter. And then shortly after that, Instagram kind of took notice, and then Under Armour took notice, and we started working with them about 8 years ago, and we still work with them to this day, and it took me 3 years to believe. I'm not even going to lie to you. I was expecting the rug to get pulled out from under me at any moment, and my honest preparation for this, and I would practice it. I would practice saying to myself, well, listen, we had a great run and we did it. And you know what? Hey, not a lot of people get that. And I remember year 1, year 2, year 3, I was still practicing in the mirror like, hey, listen, if it goes away tomorrow, we had a great run and it was wonderful. And we did it for a minute. And that was like 8, 9 years ago now. And I'm there's a part of me, it's far less now. Like I might do it like every 6 months now. There's still a piece of me that's like, this thing could dry up any minute. But I've tried to sow enough seeds, and I've tried to do enough good, and I've tried to impress upon enough people, and I've tried to teach enough people, and I've tried to give my best to as many people as possible that at this point, I feel like I've built this. I don't want to call it a safety net. I've built this plateau to where I'm in a safe place that people, they know me for painting cars, for painting shoes, for painting portraits, for painting murals, both commercial and residential. They know me for painting motorcycle helmets. So there's, somebody's got to want something somewhere, and I'm the guy to call. So, it's been a great ride. It's been amazing, and I attack it every day with so much gratitude, and and like anything, like any business person, there's a combination of, there's moments of fear, there's moments of doubt, there's moments of everything in the day, but at the end of the day, it circles back to just being grateful and trying to push that outward, like show the gratitude in the work that I do, in the way that I do it, and in the manner in which I do it. So,
Man, I tell you what, you got my cheeks hurting. I've been smiling this whole time, just because, man, for me, this is music to the soul. In the same way that when David spoke to would play for Saul, it soothes him. It soothes everyone with a purpose and a passion when you speak and you're talking about. Sometimes, man, it's the quiet part that doesn't get said, and you did. You said there's always the idea that I could end up going back. I quit my job. I didn't give the 2-week notice, man. I went in and I just knew And even though I had 12 years working in the factory floor and I took 4 years as an attempt to get maxed out, I finally get topped out. I got this thing. But man, I found every day that I would go in, it felt like Groundhog Day. I was just wasting time and these thoughts I had in my head. Either they were just grandiose thoughts, but one day that dream was going to be a nightmare because I would have wasted and I would have had regret. So if you're listening, you're watching, whatever it is that you feel like you are called to do, you got to go after it like you're chosen to do it. You got to believe that, man, this is what I'm here for. You got to give it that opportunity. Stop saying that I'm going to try it one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, because one day can be day one. Day one is now. You can start. And if you can start, you can finish. But if you don't ever start, man. And forget that stuff. A journey of 1,000. You listen. You'll never get 1,000 miles without a ride. So let me tell you. You mentioned this thing here. God has to give you those wings, man, to fly. And then if you are looking for opportunities, I've said, man, I used to think that all I did is a chance. Didn't realize that chance might be a guy named Chance that opened the door for you. It's a person. You mentioned a guy contacted you. And oftentimes people don't realize the power of a relationship. They think that talent alone is enough. You can treat people any way you want, disrespect them, feel super important and all this stuff, entitled, and think that things are coming. No, it's relationships. The guy that called you, how valuable was that relationship?
So to your point, here's the other side of that coin is, nah, I'm too good to give anything away. Okay.
Mm.
The reason he called me, I was working inside of an audio shop, and I did on my own. They bought the paint, but on my own money, on my own time, I painted the walls inside. I did mural work inside. The only reason that conversation ever happened where the kid asked for my number there, I wasn't there that day. He went in to get his stereo fixed and looked at the walls and was like, yo, who did all this artwork? And they were like, this guy named Dez, man, here's his number. Call him. He was like, does he airbrush? He does everything. And he called me. But the only reason he asked the question was because I had given away work inside of the audio shop. But
yes,
okay, I gave it away, but that giving away has led to 12 years of me not answering to anybody but me. And so, you know, like there's that, like you said, there's the disrespect of the opportunity, and it could be a person or it could be an act, and it could be something where, yeah, you're asked to do something off the cuff, or not even asked. You see the opportunity and you go, nah, there's no money there. There's no instant gratification there, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, well, had I gone, you know, I could do some dope stuff in here. Nah, man, they're not paying me.
yeah,
I would be a 48-year-old something.
yeah.
Maybe not an artist. I'm a 48-year-old artist that's been doing artwork full-time for 12 years because I went, man, I bet if I did some dope stuff in here, somebody will call me. and that's exactly what happened. So it's multifaceted, right? Because now it's like there's people that believe, and believing yourself is one thing, but believing that it's just gonna come to you on this platter and it's gonna be a nice shiny top.
Yeah, hand delivered. Like, wait, listen, we have an award for you as the best artist in the world, and you have never been seen. It doesn't happen.
We don't know you. We don't know what you can do. We never seen anything that you. But you're the award now. You're the award recipient. It's not that way. Like I tell people there's a lot of dark that brings out these beautiful colors in me. There's a lot of dark. The's a lot of moments where I
wait, man, hold up. You did it again. Wait, listen. There's a lot of dark that brings out the beautiful colors in me.
Yes.
Oh, dude, that's a quote. That's a saying. That right there. That's got to be a post. That got to be on something. There's a lot of dark that brings out the beautiful color. That's it. Go ahead, man. Wow.
No, it's that way because you don't know. Like you don't like people. So I was an abused child. I was a suicidal kid. My father didn't love me and taught me all the wrong things in life. I'm a felony. I have a felony for distribution of narcotics. I've had this, I've been this person that I'm not, that I look back on and I'm not proud of. I've been this person that I look back on, I want to talk to and I want to say, listen, the pain will go away. One day you're not going to get whooped. One day you're not going to be abused. Don't write that letter. Don't do that. Don't get that close to hurting yourself. Don't sell those. It's not going to fill the void that's empty, no matter how much you make. None of that is, and I'm open about it because I have a 15-year-old son. I never want him to walk that path, and he has friends that I don't want them to walk that path. But but that's the part people don't see. People don't see that this was built on. There's been grit and grace. I was fortunate to do some work for the CEO of SAIC, a wonderful woman, Tony Whitley. She said grit and grace, and it related to me so much because there's been hardships that have formed this tough exterior that things can't hurt me and that I have to push forward and that I do this for my family. But then I have to realize that there's no way that young man, other than grace, there's no way that young man and who he was deserves to be this old man and who I am other than grace. And that's the definition of it for me. So you have to look at it that way. You have to let the brighter parts of you shine, and you have to be. And if you're young, you have to try. You could start again because you're young, or else what happens? You find success when knees are here, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
But if you get that chance, and if you say you tried, don't just say you tried. Try with everything. Try with passion. Try, bleed for it, sweat for it, cry for it, shed tears for it, feel the pain for it. Because if you don't, you're not trying. It's not real. You only grow through the pain you go through. And so go through it. Go through it, because the most painful thing is, if I was in a, I'm sorry, I'm long-winded.
No, listen, man, this ain't long-winded. Hey, this is a strong win. Go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
Sitting in a cubicle. I was 23 years old. We're talking, no. I was 22 years old. We're talking about the year 2000. I was making more than twice my age in salary, which was not bad back then. That was about $46,000 a year, which in the year 2000 was pretty damn good. I had an apartment. I had these things. I remember I was in an air-conditioned office. You had to dress fairly nice to be there. And I looked out the window and I saw these landscapers laying on the grass at 2:30. They had finished their day. One was asleep. One was reading the Bible, and one was finishing his food. And they looked like the happiest human beings on earth. And here I was making great money at the time, making young, car, place to live. And I envied them. I envied them because I was inside in a cubicle, not where I wanted to be, not where I felt like I belonged. I was successful. I was people respected me, what I said, what I did. I had accolades at work, and I envied those landscapers out there because their day was done, and whether or not they wanted to be there, they were enjoying the day and the sun on their faces, and they were sitting in the ground. And I realized in that moment that envy came from a place where I was not where I belonged. And I lived that way for another 13 years trying to get to where I thought I belonged. So if you don't suffer the pain of trying, and it didn't go well for me, like I said, the first 3 times, you will suffer the pain of envying the fact that you are not where you belong.
Man, listen,
either way.
That's a word. Listen, guys, if you're watching, you're listening, let me tell you this like a cicada. Man, those things disappear. You don't see them, but every 17 years they come out and they make noise. It can be just like that with your dreams. Your stuff can be buried, you can be invisible, you can be not seen, but I promise you, if it's in you, it will come out. You just got to be willing for that season and get seasoned. In the 13 years when you were going through, you kept trying, there's pain, but as you were going through, you were developing strength. You were developing resiliency, consistency, but you were perfecting your craft. There were color palettes you began to see different things with that pain taught you that you would have never seen if you had gone through the easier path or the right path from high school on. It's different now because there are people who went to those schools. There's someone that got the scholarship you didn't, that even though they got in that seat, they don't get to sit where you sit now. Come on, man. Des, wow. Man, there is things that are pouring out of you that are for many, many more than you. It's to be extended into the lives of people. It's not in the artwork they wear with you, but the words that you've speaking into people's lives. Today, you've done that. Today, you gave birth to something in somebody else. There's somebody listening that you mentioned casually what somebody else is living through, and it feels like they're the only one. The abandonment of our fathers, being raised by our mothers and grandmothers, to realize that we were the least likely to succeed, but there was a sacrifice that somebody made. What your mom did for you, my grandmother and mother did for me, and what they did is that they did all these sacrifices so that you wouldn't surrender. And because you didn't surrender, look where we get to sit with a humble heart, because we know at any given moment it feels like the rug could be taken, but if the rug is taken, it's only because there's a burning bush, and he says that 1 inch we're standing on is too tall, and it's only so he can use us, man. Come on, man. There's a word there, but I want to do me a favor. Tell me about like an example of response people have had, an athlete that when he got your shoe, when he got it, his response, because I know you get excited when you see their response to what you go back and do. Can you give me an example of someone who just flipped out or how that's gone?
Man, you know what? Let me ask my guys to help me. Hey, Swaggy. Hey, grab my backpack. Are they back? Yeah. Grab my backpack from the car. I want to show them the Curry picture. The reaction.
Uh-oh.
So,
oh man, it's on.
so no, so yes. So, but you know what? I'll be honest with you. So there are moments in life that are always going to be with me. You know, there's Mohamed Sanu, one of the most, genuine, good-hearted human beings that I've ever met, happened to be an NFL player when I met him, but one of the coolest individuals ever, and his reactions were always like, "Yo," like he was such a kid about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll be sincere with you, man. We've done portraits of people's family that have passed away and things like that, and it's the emotional responses that really stay with me more than anything else. And then secondarily, there's there's the moments with the kids, when the kids act like kids. When you see them freak out, when their parents surprise them with a custom, and they can't believe that mom or dad did that for them. And those are, it's just there's a genuineness that comes from these responses that's hard to really capture. But I'm gonna bring something up real quick, because so recently, and this is I tell people all the time, right? The dream was realized 12 years ago when I got my first payment for creating artwork. That was the dream. That was the moment where dream realized. Like I'm making money off my art. And then when he became consistent, that's the dream realized. Everything else that has happened after that has been a plus. You know what I mean? Like this life, I don't take it for granted. These moments, I don't take it for granted. But those are pluses. You know what I mean? Those are bonus checks. Those are end of the year Christmas bonuses and stuff like that. They just happen a little bit more often for me than most people. But there's a that my dream has already been fulfilled. You know, there's a new dream now. Like I do this thing called Brunch with Brothers, and I'm trying to start it in this area where we just offer alternative success paths for young people. Like you don't have to be a banker and a college graduate or an accountant or a doctor or a baller or a hooper, or you can be an electrician, you can be a gallery owner, you could be an artist, you could be a plumber. Like people don't realize. So I do it out of my own pocket. I teamed up with a nonprofit recently. They're a startup nonprofit, but they're helping me so that people can donate and get their their tax break or whatever they need to get to make it okay for them to donate. But I'm trying to give back now. Like this there's a new dream now. But this
that legacy thing.
I'm gonna try to get it into focus. So that's
there he is.
That's Steph Curry.
You cooked up something there.
And I love his genuine, just the way he's staring at him.
That's admiration, man.
But that was but there's a moment where he kind of, there it is, when he first sees them, and he's like, oh. So, and I got to share that moment. My son met him. He put the gold medal on my neck. Wow. My son got to wear the gold medal. In my life,
you can't beat that. You see that legacy moment?
I would have never that I would see a gold medal, an Olympic gold medal, let alone touch it, wear it, have it donned on my neck. But these are moments that and sharing it with my son, and my son knows the dark. Like I talk to my son clearly and purposefully. He knows all the bad, but he's also seen his father, rise above it and try the best father I can be, the best, husband that I take pride when my wife, my son and I are out. My son and I don't let her touch door handles. And that's not being chauvinistic or anything.
No, man. This is servitude. This is serving.
He has his father
that's chivalrous.
Open his mother's door his entire life. So then he doesn't let her do it either. And I don't have to tell him. I don't have to remind him. It's innate in him. And those are the moments where I'm like, I've done all right. I've done okay. I'm doing as best as I can. And some parts, the good parts are hitting home, So
man, listen, I tell you a moment I'll share with you that with my son, that man, it bonds his brothers with this. And it's a gold medal moment, right? So we mark moments. My son was just graduating on June 6th of this year, high school.
Okay.
And June 7th is his birthday. So I'd asked, what do you want? He'd been sending me pictures of a car. And so we had this conversation, and he sends me a car, and it was like, man, I was like, listen, every time he sent me one, it was more and more expensive. It went from like a 5,000 to a Lamborghini type stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know who you. That's not how you start off, man. It's okay. I'll settle for a Shelby type stuff. I'm like, no. Anyway, but I said, now if I do this, the money that I was going to, I'll send you this if you want. That's what you want. You'll buy the car, then that's what we'll do. But it would mean that I'm not going to go ahead and fly in, because the money that I'm spending on that, man, I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and we'll just see each other later. And he was like, hey, Dad, the car can wait. I'd rather see you. Man, can you imagine? You can, as a father, for your kid to say,
and listen, you about to have up over here. I already know. Don't go me. Look, I'm a big softy. Don't get me down that path. All right.
No, listen, man. That's the power of growth as men. to have those moments. And so I'm going to tell you, have that from now on, refer to that moment, the gold medal moment,
Oh,
because your son will remember. And because, and the gold medal moment isn't just that moment. It's any moment that is a highlight of something that the two of you share that bring back from that memory, so that he will pass on. Your great grandchildren will never have to put that on to have a gold medal moment,
yep.
because it's a moment where you pass something on, you know?
Yeah.
I got to ask you, there's one thing. Have you ever painted a prosthetic?
Mm, I hadn't. So I was talking to someone about doing it. It never came through.
Mm.
They did not. They chose not to do it. They chose to get it dipped instead. You know, the where they
Oh,
roll.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And
No.
I was like, whatever is best.
Mhm,
I, I never. I
mhm,
try. I try to never take it personal. Um,
mhm.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm game. I'm
Yeah,
game.
I mean, I just know somebody. I mean, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I might have a picture in my mind of who you're talking about. I think.
Yeah, I just, hey, well, you probably think of Kelly Cardenas, but not. He, no, I'm not talking about homeless Jesus. I'm talking about you and I. No, that's my guy. I love him, man. Did I ever tell you how I met Kelly?
Nah.
Oh, you're gonna love this. So one day I was driving there in Hollywood, and there was a homeless guy with a sign, and he's like, "We'll cut hair for food." And I stopped, and I was like, "Man, listen, you could do so much more with yourself. What's your name?" And he said, "Kelly." And I was like, "How old are you?" He said, I'm 48. So this was just last week. Anyway, I knew that he had potential. Look at him today. This guy his life is so different. Now,
I see you. I see you. I see where we are now. All right. All right.
the
Fair.
the power of relationships. Thank you for coming in my life, man, for who you are. But you spoke into so many lives. You dropped so many bombs. You shared so much of yourself. You were authentic, you were real, and this is the impact that we make. People are always talking about motivation. Motivation is not the thing where people are different on stage, off stage, backstage, and show up, and they all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, and you can do it. Here are 4 ways in which you can." That is not it. You know what inspiration is? It is when God breathed life into Adam and he got up. You know what inspiration is when we speak word into someone's world. When you said, and there was a lot of dark that brought that in the beautiful colors that I display. There's a lot of dark. In order to be there, that's the way life is, folks. No matter how dark it is, the light comes. At night, it gets dark. In life, it gets dark. But unlike what you may not see in the dark, is that at midnight, it's a brand new day. The sun just isn't showing yet. You can have a new day in the middle of your dark just by understanding that every moment that you have is another moment that wasn't promised. And if you had that moment, live in that present. If you're in that present, you can become the present that is gifted to others. You got to be willing to give away a gift, your talent, your ability. When he was painting the mural on the wall, it wasn't for money, but that opened up the door. And if the door is that people can marvel at what you have. If you want to be a speaker, you want to do any of those things, there are times you got to go volunteer. Your speech to an eighth grade basketball team can be videoed by some mom, shared, and as a result of it, you end up speaking to the University of Alabama. You have no idea where it can take you because you're not willing to give away something that's supposed to be a gift that God gave you. Des, man, you have been awesome, man. You came in, you shared your heart. I tell you what, let's run this back. I'll meet you on Instagram on Absolute Motivation Official. We'll go live in 2 and 2. We'll see you guys. Des, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I
All
appreciate you.
right.
Hey, one.
Y'all heard it here. Kelly sucks, but we can get my leg done and go to the next level. Love you guys. Thank you, sir.
Have a great one.
We'll see you again later. Absolute Motivation.
Yes, sir.
Say hi to James. Made me an entrepreneur. Teaching me day after day after day till it all was a blur. Now he on tour, he could drop in your city tonight. Never the Zen coming in for the fight. Making that powerful statement, saying that you meant for greatness.